We have now heard very, very important testimony from the real world, and the real world in this case being the fact that the Ukraine war has now lasted longer than the First World War, and if it continues, will be longer even than the Second World War, i.e., disaster. And the testimony here, what it takes to be resilient, to try to survive, to try to remain hope, to try to keep some care for the children who are the most vulnerable. All this is so important. So I think that the audience now should have been larger, by the way. They were taking up and taking away from this an incredible story of the pain and the suffering that war means in the past as today. And it affects all walks of life, it affects all individuals, it affects the whole society, and it's simply an incredible evil that should not be possible and should not happen to people in this time, but it does. And of course, the Ukraine war is the main example of the world now being different to what we thought it would be a few years ago. But it's also a story of adaptation, of resilience, of the efforts by so many individual people to survive, to take care of each other, to show solidarity, and to improve efficiency in the operationalization of resilience. And then, of course, we have the question of, so what can, for example, Sweden learn as lessons that they offer us? And these are many and varied, of course, and the questions were asked here in this seminar. So what can we learn from the experience that now are being drawn in Ukraine? It's not easy to summarize the various examples given, but of course, the question of efficiency, the question of solidarity, is a question of how to never give up hope, how to maintain the spirit of fight, the spirit of resistance, and then to adapt as much as it takes. And then the question, of course, is how can Sweden, being with our background, a long period of peace, especially the last years after the Cold War, when everyone here was thinking that war was unthinkable. Now it is not unthinkable any longer, it is thinkable. And therefore, how quickly can we, given our history and the difference between our history and Ukraine's difference, and Ukrainians, of course, having has such a more turbulent history than we have, and somehow people are more resilient from the beginning, so to speak, than we are. So realistically drawing the conclusions what it takes to be in our situation now, we don't think that war is imminent, but war is not unthinkable either. And then to draw the conclusion, making use of the experience that Ukrainians now are offering us. That is the gift that they are giving us, because without it, it would be hard for us to make the necessary preparations if war comes to us as well. So a very, very useful display of suffering, of efforts, of resilience, and of needed lessons learned. That would be my take.